The quadruple homicide at an I Can't Believe It's Yogurt shop in Austin, Texas, in 1991, remains an unresolved and haunting mystery. 4 teenage girls fell victim to this heinous crime on Friday, December 6, 1991. The young victims included 13-year-old Amy Ayers, or Ayers, 17-year-old Eliza Thomas, 17-year-old Jennifer Harbison, and Jennifer's 15-year-old sister, Sarah. While Jennifer and Eliza were employees at the shop, Sarah and her friend Amy were there to catch a ride home with Jennifer after the shop's closing at 11 p.m. The tragic events unfolded in the hours leading up to midnight. About an hour before closing, an individual who had been bothering customers in the store was allowed to use the restroom. This individual took an unusually long time in the restroom, raising suspicions, and may have tampered with a rear door. A couple who left the shop just before the closing reported seeing 2 men at a table acting suspiciously. Around midnight, a police patrolman spotted a fire at the yogurt shop and reported it. Upon arrival, first responders discovered the lifeless bodies of the 4 girls. All had been brutally shot in the head, and at least one of them had been assaulted. The murders were committed using a .22 caliber and a .380 caliber pistol, and it's believed the perpetrators escaped through a back door left unlocked. The organized and methodical nature of the crime, the ability to control the victims, and the attempt to destroy evidence through arson suggested the involvement of an experienced adult criminal rather than teenagers, according to one of the original detectives on the case. Subsequently, the Austin Police Department obtained DNA evidence from an unknown male connected to one of the sexual assaults. Although a Y chromosome match for this DNA was found in the FBI's research database, the identity of the individual behind this DNA remains undisclosed, given the legal protection of donor anonymity. Additionally, the DNA fragment itself was insufficient to identify a specific person. Initial investigations led to numerous persons of interest, including a 15-year-old who was apprehended with a .22 caliber weapon, although not proven to be the murder weapon, in a nearby mall shortly after the murders. This individual initially provided promising information but was later deemed unreliable under intense questioning. He was eliminated as a suspect along with 3 petty criminal friends he had implicated, none of whom were older than 17 at the time. Years later, another detective on the case theorized that the 4 teenagers themselves were credible suspects by that time in their 20s. In a series of interrogations conducted by different detectives, confessions were extracted from some of these suspects. They asserted that all 4 of them, Robert Springsteen, Michael Scott, Maurice Pierce, and Forrest Wellborn, had participated in the murders. Unfortunately, no records were kept of the initial 1991 interrogations, making it impossible to determine whether information was provided to the suspects during those early interviews. This information could have been used to implicate the suspects in later interrogations, if they referenced it. 2 of the 4 were subsequently put on trial based on their self-incriminating statements, with one receiving the death penalty and the other life imprisonment due to being 15 at the time. However, the prosecution's strategy of using excerpts from each defendant's alleged confessions at the other's trial was ruled a violation of the Confrontation Clause since the co-defendant did not testify. As a result, both convictions were overturned, and the men were released in 2009. The prosecution had initially planned to retry them but later abandoned those plans when forensic analysis revealed that the DNA found in one victim did not match the suspects, nor the other 2 implicated in their confessions. Despite this, Texas courts determined that the released individuals were not eligible for compensation since they hadn't definitively proven their innocence. One of the detectives involved in the interrogations, Hector Polanco, had previously been accused of coercing false confessions in another notorious case that resulted in the exoneration of defendants Christopher Ochoa and Richard Danziger. 7 jurors from the yogurt shop murder trials have since stated that they would not have convicted Scott and Springsteen had the DNA evidence been available at the time. During the period of the yogurt shop murders, the notorious serial killer Kenneth McDuff was in the area, known for multiple murders involving teenagers. However, he was eventually ruled out, and he was executed on November 17, 1998. False confessions were a significant issue in this case, with over 50 people, including Kenneth McDuff, confessing to the yogurt shop murders. A 1992 confession by 2 Mexican nationals, who were detained by Mexican authorities, was later declared false. In 2006, Robert Springsteen's conviction was overturned by the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals due to an unfair trial. and the U.S. Supreme Court refused to reinstate the conviction in February 2007. In 2008, the defense lawyers for Michael Scott and Robert Springsteen requested DNA testing of alternative suspects, but no matches were found. On June 24, 2009, Judge Mike Lynch ruled to free defendants Springsteen and Scott on bond, responding to a request by Travis County District Attorney Rosemary Laimberg. The charges against Scott and Springsteen were later dismissed on October 28, 2009. In 2010, Maurice Pierce, one of the original suspects, was killed during a confrontation with police. In December 2021, the House Judiciary Committee passed legislation by Representative Michael McCall, giving families of cold case victims the opportunity to petition the federal government to re-examine cases older than 3 years. On February 5, 2022, it was announced that advanced DNA technology was bringing investigators closer to solving the crime. Additionally, on August 3, 2022, President Joe Biden signed the Homicide Victims' Families' Rights Act into law, inspired by the yogurt shop murders, to facilitate federal law enforcement review of cold cases using the latest technologies and investigative standards. The specifics of this law's implementation are yet to be clarified, but it allows for the request of cold case reviews by federal agencies.
If you enjoyed this video, please help us by subscribing to our channel. Leave a comment and click the like button. We appreciate each one of you.